Jumbo fellow adventurers, Mike Dooley, time for a spiritual tune-up and a half, all crammed into one session. As promised yesterday, the topic today is headed up with raised Catholic, pro-life, reproductive rights. Question mark. I was raised a Catholic, Mike, and have been practically disowned by my family for not always voting for a pro-life candidate. The whole reproductive rights, when life begins, and abortion issues still vex me. Any insights? Woo, 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 woo. Okay. I'll do the best I can. No one is pro-abortion. Pro-choice is not pro-abortion. I would generally advocate, not always, against an abortion or terminating a pregnancy. But there are more circumstances than just rape or incest in which it would be permissible, in my opinion, for reasons I'm about to give. It is naive to think you played with fire, now you got burned, so you have to have a child for the rest of your life. It's like, look, we need to look at issues like this with a spiritual lens and a spiritual focus, which heretofore we have not done, which has gotten us into a lot of hot water, divisiveness, and real heartbreaking situations. The one and only question that slices through this exactly is, when does life begin? And if you answer that with your physical senses alone, you're going to be going down rabbit holes that make absolutely no sense, as if life began in the physical realm. You know, and we know so well, that life, the physical world, is energy. It is vibration. It is illusion. It came after intelligence and consciousness, not just the divine, but your own. Therefore, life does not begin at either conception or at birth in the way we typically think it. An eternal, spiritual gladiator of love and joy decided ahead of time, I'm going to planet Earth or planet Brohashka or planet wherever to live in this hallowed jungles of time and space, to love and be loved. And every single one of us surveys the landscape and looks for probabilities that will suit us. And we know who our parents will be. We pick them. They pick us, each of us with objectives at heart. And then we begin the dissension, if you will, for lack of a better word, process, which is in no way a negative or derogatory term, this descending into matter. We know if the people we are choosing for parents are stable or unstable, and there's reasons to choose parents along both lines. We know that the pregnancy may be in jeopardy. We know that maybe some young person got in over their head and this is not going to come to fruition. We know all of those things, but yet we choose based on what will be ideal for us and what is believed to be ideal for all involved at the time. And just like in your normal everyday life, matters and circumstances change. Enlightenment grows, ignorance fades, or ignorance grows and enlightenment fades, and we are sometimes left with making different decisions, overwhelmed, underwhelmed, and we all do, everyone does the best they can. And so if during the pregnancy, the mother wanted to terminate the pregnancy, the ancient gladiator of love and joy who was waiting in line will see what has happened, will obviously not check into that physical body, and will go on unscathed. No worse for the wear. And I know that that might sound very offensive and ignorant and naive to some of you out there, but I'm sharing it as I know it and as it comes to me, and you can just take this or not take it however you like. So the question is, when does life begin? It certainly does not begin at the point of conception. And I think it would be very fair to say that it begins when you have a live, breathing being who is ultimately moving into the world around with an affection and an attachment, physically and spiritually, to parents, siblings, life itself, favorite colors, favorite music, then you are in a totally different realm. And I know the argument can come up, well, hey, if we're not our physical body and we came first and somebody goes and murders somebody down the road, their spiritual being is intact. Isn't that the same thing? No, it is not the same thing. Everyone has to decide for themselves at what point there is a viable human being alive. And I think anybody would have to acknowledge that it cannot happen prior to them living and consuming of the material world. But, what if they're 5 days old? What if they're 5 years old? How much is vested? Clearly, it still remains complicated. The best to realize is that everyone's doing their best. If this has ever happened to you, you did the best you could with what you had. The ancient beings that surround you and love you still surround you and love you. They'll look for another opportunity. Opportunity was not lost any more than if you go left instead of right. There's new adventures for them and for yourself left behind on planet Earth. Everyone is playing out their life inside the heart of God, learning lessons that we all have to learn, and none is better or worse than the other. Let me just see if there's anything else in my brief notes here that I wanted to address on this very sticky subject. And oh my gosh, I'm starting to sweat. This is not an easy one. Well, fellow adventurers, I think I did the best I could with that one. Pro-choice is the only way to go. There is no way that somebody should have to make choices based on someone else's opinion. And while you have every right to say that my comments and views are totally crap, there is no way that you could know more about yours. And therefore, let everyone have their own views and make their own decisions. And leave Judgment Day for your maker, so to speak. Not that there is any judgment in the world that I believe in. So keep doing your best. Keep loving and living and asking me really hard questions. So down below on Facebook, on Instagram, I look for talking points every single day. Post your questions. I'll do the best I can. We do live in a beautiful world where opportunity never stops knocking. Forgiveness is granted to everyone for every mistake. We didn't come here to be perfect. You're loved and adored right now wherever you are, and you will be forever and ever in this holographic world where we're learning how to love and be loved. All right, Diane, Quelly, Julie, Krista, Adair, and on Instagram, Spirit Mentality, Sarah, Selena, Aurea. So glad you're all here. Have an awesome day. Tally ho, amigo.